Hi and welcome to another video from CodeReviewIo. In this video I will talk about Firebase and integrated Firebase with Flutter. But what is Firebase? Firebase is a comprehensive mobile and web application development platform acquired by Google. It provides a wide range of tools and services that help developers to build and manage applications more efficiently. Some key features for Firebase is the analytics or app check or the authentication. So analytics, it will be kind of the same what we have in Google Analytics, and this will give you a free measurement solution to your app or web app. The same will be app check. It helps you to protect your backend resources. The authentication is more different ways to sign in with your app. For example, Apple authentication or Google sign in. The Cloud Firestore is your database where you need to have NoSQL Cloud database to store and sync your data. And this is our they have a lot of services, and they provide more services to manage your apps, and most of them are free. For example, we will have also look at cloud functions, cloud messaging, and cloud storage and Crashlytics. In our video series, we are going to talk about most of the services in video series. Every episode will be, or every video, it will be, depends on what service and how we can integrate it in our app. Very basic app where we have the login screen, and then there is a home screen and other services connected to Firebase. The design though, it's not the main priority for me here in this video series, but it's more about the logic and how we get this up and running with most of the Firebase services. For example, here we're going to use first Crashlytics and then authentication in the screen. Later we will use Firebase or Firestore Cloud and cloud messaging, and this will be related to the push notification. Later we will make use of Firestore still in these screens, and later we will enhance our app by authentication, provide more way for the authentication, and then cloud storage. And in the end, we will also have some services that need to be measured. For example, so we have the Crashlytics here, but we will have also Google Analytics or Firebase Analytics. There will be also a remote config, and these are services will be all done by Firebase. Every video will have a different service for it. To get started, you need to make an account in Firebase. Then you need to create a new project. For example, I have created one project. It's called iWally, and you can call it whatever you want, depends on your project name. Then you need to go and add apps. So for now, I have two apps, and these apps will be iOS and Android. For example, if I go and then go to project settings and I say add app, for example, add iOS, so you will be prompted with this screen. The first one that you need to add is the bundle ID, but right now we didn't create our app yet. So let's create a new sample Flutter app. If I open the terminal and then click on Flutter, create. So basically you can create the app by defining the bundle ID or the package name here with the name of your app. So I created this and I specified the application ID or the package name to be IO CodeReviewIo iWally. So here, if you want this, then it will be the same. So you should write the same name as what you have in the package name. And you can see that it is identified because I already added the app before, and it is identified the bundle ID. Now this will be the same. For example, let's add different, and then we say register app. This might take a bit time. Then we have download Google Service Info. As it shows here, you need to go inside the Xcode and then add this to your files. So if we open Xcode in our project, we need to click on here and then say add files to the runner. And the thing is, you cannot copy and paste or drag and drop the file, the Google Service Info playlist, because then it will not be included in the build. So make sure to add the files to runner and then make sure that is selected to be a runner here. So that's for iOS, and then there will be no additional steps that are required for iOS. Add an Android app. So for Android, it will be usually the same name. So you need to put the same name as the what is suggested in the package name. If you cannot find that name, you can look to your build Gradle. So basically, if you open the build Gradle file here, so I'll make this a bit bigger, and then you look for build Gradle inside your app, then you will see the application ID as iWally CodeReviewIo. And after you set this here, we click on register app. I'm just setting this and just an example because I don't want it to interfere what we have. Then you download Google Services JSON, and then you need to place it exactly here, and this needs to be inside your app Google Service. And then you click on next here. There will be additional steps to install this for Android. So for example, you need to select for Groovy because Flutter is working with the Groovy build Gradle, not really with Kotlin DSL. And then if we go back to our code here, so first we need to go to the root level and Gradle file, and that means we need to go to look to Android build Gradle. The first thing that you will see here that is specified that the plugins here, and what we need to do, we need to do some adjustment because this is not exactly what we will do here. You look for the dependencies and you need to change it to class path, and you add Google Services. This version can be also the same as here. The second thing is that you need to look for app model build Gradle, and that will be the same, kind of like the same here. So first it will say in the plugins we need to add Google Services here, and that's exactly what I'm doing this. The second thing is that looking for the dependencies, and we need to add Google Firebase version, and that's when we look down, when we need to see the dependencies, even if this is an empty, so you need to add this exactly as it's mentioned here. With that, Android and iOS is set up and you are ready to go. There is additional installation or configuration that we need to do to make Firebase working properly in our app, which is installing the Firebase core. So if you look to the pubdev and you look for Firebase core, then you need to look how we can install this, and just by getting the app dev here. I also installed the Firebase auth to make sure that the Firebase is working fine, and also preparing for the next video for authentication. With this installed, you need to have additional step to initialize the app. So for example, if you go to main Dart file, so the first thing that you will see that I added some, so we need to add first to ensure initialized. Then I have specified the initialization step for iOS different than in Android. Why is that? Because in iOS it will not work by just calling Firebase initialize app. So this step is required for Android, but this step is required also for iOS, but with additional options. These options is a separate file that I have created, and it can be the same as your JSON file. So basically, if we go to our Google Services for info plist, which is the file that we used for iOS, you will see all the features here are actually the same. For example, API key, you can take this API key and paste it here. App ID is also the same, and then you need to look for messaging sender, and also that should be here somewhere. And even we have the storage bucket here, we have the analytics enabled, all of that. Here it is, Google App ID. This is actually the Google App ID that we are using. And if you don't find it here, it will be also easier by going to Firebase, and you go to inside your app, and then you look to all the information here. Even for the other information, for example, cloud messaging, here it's important also to get this, the sender ID, and then you can copy this. It's an additional step only for iOS, as I said, but for Android it will take this information or take these options from the Google Services JSON file that we have pasted. Now, to make sure your app is running and its Firebase is initialized, maybe put in a print console here before and after, just to make sure that everything is okay. For this video, I also include a bit of the auth surface here, but this is actually will be part of the next video, just to make sure that the Firebase is working fine. To make sure that everything working fine, I have installed the app and then I run it in iOS and Android, and then we saw that the sign-in method. So if I go to build authentication, and then because the authentication is connected and everything is connected, you can see that I have two users, one for iOS and one for Android. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe and share and hit the like button. Our app is configured and we can start development the next features. The next step is to do the authentication. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.